The movie begins with a young man named Gerald, known as the Witcher, picking up a leaf to sniff it. His friend, known as Jaskier, originally named Julian, asks if he's going to eat that. He replies, stating he is starving, but not that starving. However, he is tracking a monster. The monster itself is called Alanorx, a creature who is incredible at climbing rocks and swimming. Unfortunately for the two, Alanorx arrives out of the mountains and attacks Gerald immediately. A battle ensues between Gerald and the huge monster. Gerald shows his skill in this fight by combining magic and strength. This monster proves to be tough as Gerald struggles to defeat him. During this battle, Alanorx takes Gerald into the ocean to try to suffocate him, but Gerald proves to be resilient as he doesn't give up the fight. Later on, Gerald conjures a fire in his hand, which makes the monster run for its life. Unfortunately for it, Gerald uses his magic to freeze the ocean water, trapping it. Just as Gerald plans to finish the mysterious creature off, a family of mermaids arrives at the scene to beg for mercy on behalf of the monster. Gerald then informs them he was simply hired to kill the creature because this isn't the first time it has attacked the village. The siren explains that the monster means no harm. It doesn't eat humans, only animals, so its only crime is being hungry. After a long conversation, Gerald spares the Alanorx's life and asks the mermaids to give him a ride back to land. Once they do so, the sea creatures head back to their kingdom inside the ocean, where a very tense meeting is held among them. The sea creatures complain bitterly to their king that even their children cannot eat just anything because of the humans, and they have even hired a witcher to kill the Alanorx, a sea creature like them. They demand war from their king because it seems the humans are in control over their way of life. However, the king believes it is best to maintain peace with the humans, at least for now. Although the creatures see this as weakness from the king's side, their daughter is in love with a human prince called Glovel. The queen decides to take their proposals into consideration, but their daughter, named Shinaz, disagrees with this. Just then, Melissa, a sister to the queen, shows up to support Shinaz, who is her niece. She believes a wedding union with a human could be the answer to peace, but the king remains hesitant, as he doesn't want his daughter to marry a human. During this, we discover that Melissa was a traitor, and the person the king fell in love with first when she reminded the queen about that. She angrily and furiously sent her away. The scene then shifted to a bar, as Jaskier wondered why Gerald changed his mind about killing the Alanorx. Gerald replied, stating the creature hasn't killed anyone, and the Hum might actually be the villains in this whole situation. This left Jaskier frustrated because Gerald, a monster hunter with a moral code, believes in killing monsters who only hurt humans, and that code has made him very broke. During this conversation, we get a flashback where Gerald was in a relationship with a witch known as Yennefer, the first woman he ever fell in love with. Back to the present day, the boys are thrown out of the bar, as they are known as witchers who wouldn't kill a monster, which is very funny. Just as they are thrown out, a man from the palace shows up to give Jaskier a job as a guitarist, since he is talented, and he wants Jaskier to perform at the festival tomorrow, where the king will also be present. The next day, the two attend the festival, while Jaskier soon reunites with an old friend named Essie. She informs Jaskier that she was the one who begged Drahard to give him the gig at the festival. Jaskier introduced her to Gerald, and they exchanged pleasantries, as it seems they both like each other. Jaskier informed us that he and Essie grew up together in Bort. In a flashback, we discover that when Jaskier was a child, he used to get bullied a lot. From what we learned, Jaskier, as a young kid, didn't know how to swim, which the bullies knew about, and then decided to push him in. Luckily for Jaskier, he was fine, but soon after, they began choking him to death. Fortunately for him, Essie showed up to stop the bullies. This was when Jaskier and Essie met for the first time. Jaskier is very sad that they ruined his guitar, and when he insulted them, Zealous tried to finish him off, but Essie punched him. Gerald asked him what happened afterward. Jaskier reveals to us that he was the king's bastard son. However, during their discussion, the king arrived, and surprisingly, the king's name is revealed to be Usul, whose son's name is a Glover. Jaskier is shocked when he sees Zelest, his childhood bully, as the commander. Zelest was appointed as the military advisor by Prince Aglovel. The people began to whisper negatively towards the king. At that moment, Jaskier informed Gerald that the people are fed up because there have been 5 attacks on divers in the last few months, and nobody has been held accountable for this. She believes the mermaids are responsible for the divers disappearing. However, the king does not want to retaliate because Prince Aglov is very much in love with the mermaid princess, after which the festival dance. Gerald goes outside to catch some air. Nearby, a group of divers is seen packing a lot of shells and fish from the ocean, which they obviously plan to sell. However, while they are at it, a mermaid shows up and kills the leader before attacking everyone at the the scene. Later on, Geralt approaches the mermaid, who informs him that she is simply there to spend time with the mysterious man who inspired her friend. The romantic tension between the two seems to be getting stronger. However, they are soon interrupted by Jaskier, who has just finished his performance. He goes on to perform her song, but to our surprise, she is very good at what she does, and even Geralt could testify to this. Back inside the festival, a young, beautiful human princess is brought forth and suggested for the prince to marry, one of the divers who managed to survive but was seriously injured. He reached the festival to inform the king about what happened, stating that he saw the attack and was spared by the fish. Afterward, he died on the spot. Seeing this, the king has no other choice but to go to war with the mermaids. However, Commander Zelest gives the king a better option. He wants the king to send Geralt, the Witcher, to find the mermaid responsible for all this and kill her. Geralt realizes that if he doesn't accept this offer, a war could break out between the humans and the mermaids, so he decides to accept the mission to avoid war. That night, Geralt and Jaskier continue to discuss, but their conversation always ends with Geralt mentioning Essie. Jaskier realizes that Geralt likes Essie and wants him to date her because she is like a sister to him. Plus, she is a very good woman, unlike that raven serpent demon he formerly dated. The next day, just as Geralt finishes having a terrible nightmare, he is attacked by a Vodnik, the sea creature. The clan that attacked the fishermen during this earlier battle was so intense, as both sides proved to be very skillful. The Vodnik is so skillful that even Geralt himself had a hard time defeating it quickly. He drinks a potion that enhances his strength, allowing him to defeat the creature brutally. Yet again, Geralt allows it to escape. Just then, Jaskier wakes up, still very much surprised by Geralt's decision to spare a creature that almost killed him. Geralt replies that he let it go because it is more helpful to him alive than dead. There are bloodstains from the Vodnik on the floor, and Geralt plans to use its blood to track it. Geralt realizes someone is following them, and when he attacks, he discovers the person is Essie. She wants help to stop the war. Meanwhile, at the seashores, Gloval and Shinaz share a romantic moment together. Just as they talk, Shinaz sees the Witcher heading toward the Vodnik. She quickly leaves the prince to go warn her people. Later on, Geralt finds a Vodnik, so he runs toward it and pins it to the ground for questioning. He asks the Vodnik who is to kill him, but the Vodnik replies that the person who sinned will kill him if he says a word. However, just as the Vodnik is about to reveal the name of the person who sent it, Commander Zealous shows up with his soldiers and kills it with his spear. Geralt is very furious about this because it seems Zealous is doing his best to push for war. Just then, the Vodnik attacks Commander Zealous and his men, leading to a bloody confrontation between them. The mermaids also join the fight to assist the Vodnik. One of the Vodnik attacks and tries to suffocate Essie underwater, but Geralt dives in and uses his magic to rescue her. Once Geralt is back at the surface, he threatens Commander Zealous to leave or he will kill the only real monster he sees. Meanwhile, one of the sirens gets brutally injured and attacked by Zealous. It happens to be the cousin of the Mermaid Queen. Melissa is of the opinion that the humans are trying to distract Shanaz from her job of protecting the sea, but Shanaz believes that Gloval can't be responsible for the attack. Zelest must have acted on his own. However, during this, the siren dies. Back to the guys, Essie treated Geralt's wounds while Jaskier suggests they should go speak to the prince and the mermaid girl to get the truth from the right source. Geralt is worried that the humans aren't looking for truths, as they might simply be looking for ways to exterminate the sea creatures, since the humans are looking for shortcuts in making money. Selling shells from underneath the ocean can make them rich, but the sea creatures are just an obstacle to them. The next day, they meet with the prince and his mermaid. Geralt asks her if she was the one who sent the Vodnik to kill him, but she reveals she had no hand in that. The mermaid suddenly begins to suspect Commander Zelest, because the moment the Vodnik was about to confess the name of the person who sent it, that was when Commander Zelest shows up and kills it. After hearing all this, Prince Gloval became furious and began arguing with the princess, as Gloval is in full support of Commander Zelest's actions while the princess is mad at him because Gloval is defending the one who killed her cousin. This made tears roll from her eyes as she dives back into the ocean. A burial is later held for the princess's cousin. Back to Commander Zelest. He is busy taking children from their mothers and enlisting them into the army to fight the sea creatures. Even though they haven't come of age, as the days go by, the Mermaid King trained his soldiers to prepare them for war while the humans did the same. They trained day and night in a very brutal manner. Even though Saw's feelings for the human prince have changed, she still doesn't want the war because thousands of lives will be lost. Melissa gives Shinaz a potion that allows her to take a human form, believing that this way she will not only be with the human prince but also be able to convince them to stop the war. Unknowingly, Melissa has a plan of her own. Geralt and his crew found the dead bodies of the divers and also saw a necklace worn only by the mermaid royal family. He believes it to be the Mermaid Queen responsible for the deaths of the divers. Quickly, Geralt decided to head back to the castle and report this to the king. He tells the king that a mermaid royal is responsible for the killings, but believes that neither the mermaid king, queen, nor princess is responsible. It was a creature that took the shape of a kraken to do the work of Tenton Vodnik. Geralt also reveals that the person responsible for this was the queen's sister, Melissa, because she is the only one among the mermaid royals who can shapeshift and make potions. It is soon discovered that Melissa was present among them as the human princess, whom the king has been insisting Prince Atlavel marry. A quick fight ensues, and after the fight, she escapes out of the window. The king reveals he knows about this. He doesn't want the marriage between his son and the mermaid princess to work out, as the throne has been with her family for 11 generations, making it a reason to prevent the marriage, even if it means forming an alliance with Melissa to stop. The marriage also triggers a desire to start a war with the mermaids. Commanded by Zelest, the king decides to stop serving the king for his actions. Even Gloval hates the king for that. He orders his guards to arrest Geralt and his crew, along with Zelest, as Zelest is useless to him and was just a mistake. He instructs his soldiers to prepare for war. Soon after, before the king begins the war, he decides to kill the Witcher. However, since a Witcher doesn't fear pain or even death, he chooses to hurt Geralt in another way, by murdering his friends in front of him. Just as they attempt to execute Zelest, he throws a backfleet, giving Geralt and his crew an opportunity to fight for their freedom. Later on, the mermaid princess comes to their rescue, using water to sweep the king's men away as the war between humans and sea creatures begins, resulting in a bloody battle. Melissa shows up and transforms into a deadly, gigantic kraken, after which she kills Zelest by ripping him apart and sends the Vodnik to kill the Witcher while she goes after the princess. This is truly an epic battle scene. Meanwhile, Melissa captures the princess, who asks her why she's doing all this. Melissa informs her that being the queen was supposed to be her position, but when she wasn't able to bear a child for the king, he decided to marry her junior sister, which resulted in her birth. Just as Muzi is about to kill her, Prince Gloval shows up. He tries to save Shinaz but gets defeated by a Vodnik, who also attempts to kill him. However, the king saves him and pushes him onto another boat. Meanwhile, Geralt continues to eliminate as many Vodnik as possible and then cuts off Melissa's hand to save Princess Shanaz. This creates another serious battle in Zelest. While Geralt struggles to defeat Melissa nearby, King Usvelt cuts the tail of Shanaz and pushes her into the ocean to kill her, hoping she will drown, as she wouldn't be able to swim without her tail. Just as Geralt battles against Melissa, Essie throws his sword toward Geralt. As he flies with it inside Melissa's stomach, he slices her stomach from the inside in a diabolical manner, before finishing her by stabbing his sword into her brain. In a plot twist, it is revealed Shinaz has managed to survive, all thanks to her mother, who also has the ability to heal. Prince Gloval informs the surviving soldiers that the mermaids are not their enemies, but they have only been misled by those they trusted. He decides to end the war and promises peace to reign among their kinds. Days later, Prince Gloval decides to marry Shanaz. He takes a potion that turns him into a mermaid so he can always be with her, which his father does not like at all. The kingdom's lineage would simply die given that Zelest is dead, and Prince Gloval doesn't care about the throne anymore. After that, Geralt says goodbye to Essie and set off on a new journey with Jaskier. The movie then comes to an end. Kindly subscribe for more recaps like this. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.